Hi, it's Patrick Hutzel from Intensive Care at Home, where we provide tailor-made solutions for long-term ventilated adults and children with tracheostomies, and where we also provide tailor-made solutions for hospitals and intensive care units, whilst providing quality services for long-term ventilated patients and medically complex patients at home. In last week's blog, I talked about what difference intensive care at home is making in the quality of life for a long-term ventilated patient with tracheostomy at home. You can check out last week's blog by clicking on the link below this video. In today's blog post, I want to answer a question from one of our clients, and the question today is: my husband is in ICU on a ventilator with a tracheostomy. He's getting depressed in ICU and we want to bring him home. Please help. Denise writes, "Hi Patrick, my name is Denise and I'm reaching out to you on behalf of my husband John. My husband has been diagnosed with COPD and now also has a pneumonia. He was hospitalized on June the 10th and has been in and out of ICU since then. He currently has a tracheostomy and during the day he's off the ventilator. Overnight he's on pressure support ventilation. He's mentally and physically stable, and at this point they're going to keep him in ICU because he's got nowhere to go. My husband is 68 and me and my family are very upset with this decision for many reasons. We want him at home because he's getting very depressed in ICU. He's having sleepless nights, he's tired during the day, and his day and night rhythm is completely upside down. The ICU team also has warned us about him staying in ICU for much longer, that he may catch a hospital infection, that he may die. So they're telling us that they keep a very close eye on his care so he doesn't fall through the cracks. However, now they want to give him a 1-to-2 nurse-to-patient ratio, and I'm not sure whether my husband is ready for that and whether that would really help him with attending to all his complex needs, which leads me to another concern with current COVID restrictions. The visitation for this hospital is insane. You can only visit 1 hour a day from 9 to 5, so I need to keep up on his care. And how can I do that with these restrictions? I am disabled due to a spinal cord injury and I can't drive. I am self-sufficient other than driving. We live with our daughter and her husband. She's very knowledgeable in the medical field because she's a med tech. Your expertise on this subject matter would be very much appreciated in regards to intensive care at home. Please get back to me at your earliest convenience. We live in Sydney, Australia. I thank you also in advance for your attention to this matter, from Denise." Hi Denise, thank you so much for writing in and sharing your husband's situation. Unfortunately, you and your husband are in a very similar situation to many of the families that have a loved one in intensive care, long-term on a ventilator with tracheostomy. And as long as your husband can't come off the ventilator overnight, he would be stuck in ICU unless he will go home with our service, Intensive Care at Home. We can certainly make that happen. It sounds to me like the only thing that's keeping him in ICU is the tracheostomy and the ventilation, and what might be stopping him as well is the lack of perceived alternatives from the ICU perspective. So I think the next step for you is to bring up our service, Intensive Care at Home, and then we can organize a meeting with the intensive care team to get your husband home as soon as possible, because that's where he needs to be. Now, you haven't mentioned how far away your husband is to be weaned off the ventilator. You haven't shared what is his pressure support, what is his PEEP, what is his FiO2, does he need frequent suctioning, can he talk when he's off the ventilator, does he have a PEG tube? You haven't shared any of it. And it would be very good to find out what ventilator settings is he on, is the pneumonia cleared, is he still on antibiotics, how often does he get out of bed, how often does he need suctioning, how is your home set up? And those would be the next step. And as far as the visitation restrictions are concerned, I couldn't agree more with you that especially now with COVID, well, your husband should be at home and not being exposed to COVID potentially in the hospital. So please get back to me and then we can set up a meeting with the ICU and we'll go from there. Thank you for watching and thank you for writing in. Now, if you have a loved one in intensive care and you want to go home with our service, Intensive Care at Home, and if you want to find out how to get funding for our service and how it all works, please contact us on one of the numbers on the top of our website or send me an email to patrick@intensivecareathome.com. That's Patrick just with a K at the end. Please also have a look at our case studies, because there we highlight more about what we can do for clients, how clients can live at home with ventilation and tracheostomies, and you can look at our case studies as well. And if you are at home already and you need support for your critically ill loved one at home because you have support workers or ICU or general nurses that can't look after a ventilator, please contact us as well. We can also help with insufficient funding. And if you are an intensive care nurse or a pediatric intensive care nurse with a minimum of 2 years ICU or pediatric ICU experience, and you ideally have a critical care certificate, please contact us as well. Check out our career section on our website. We are currently hiring ICU and pediatric ICU nurses for clients in the Melbourne metropolitan area, northern suburbs, Mornington Peninsula, Frankston area, South Gippsland, as well as in Wollongong in New South Wales. We are also an NDIS, TAC and DVA approved community service provider in Australia. Have a look at our range of full service provisions. We have also been part of the Royal Melbourne Health Accelerator program in the past for innovative healthcare companies. Thank you for watching this video and thank you for tuning into this week's blog. This is Patrick Hutzel from Intensive Care at Home, and I'll talk to you in a few days. Take care.